September 3rd, 1260. A valley in northern Palestine called Ain Jalut. Two armies face each other. On one side, the Mongols who've conquered everything from China to Iraq and have never been defeated in open battle. Ever. They just destroyed Baghdad, the greatest city in the world of that time. 50,000 men stand ready, confident they'll win like they always do. On the other side, 20,000 Mamluk warriors from Egypt. Most of them are former slaves. They know they are outnumbered. They know the Mongols have never lost, but they are about to do something no army has done before. Welcome to Historic War Lens. Today we're diving into the Battle of Ain Jalut. This is the battle that stopped the Mongol Empire's conquest of the world. This is where the unstoppable force finally met an army that refused to break. And it all came down to one desperate gamble. If you enjoy uncovering the turning points that shaped history, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps us bring you more epic stories of strategy, courage, and war. Now let's dive into the battle. To understand why this battle mattered so much, you need to understand what the Mongols had already done. By 1260, the Mongol Empire was the largest land empire in human history. They'd conquered China. They destroyed the Persian Empire. City after city fell before them. And wherever they went, terror followed. The Mongols were masters of warfare, fast cavalry, composite bows that could shoot arrows further than anyone else, perfect coordination, brilliant tactics, and absolutely ruthless. When a city resisted, the Mongols didn't just conquer it, they annihilated it and razed it to the ground. In 1258, the Mongols attacked Baghdad. It was the jewel of the Islamic world, home to the Caliph, the leader of Sunni Islam. It was the center of learning and culture with a population of over 1 million people. The Baghdad siege lasted 2 weeks. When Baghdad fell, the Mongols killed somewhere between 200,000 and 1 million people. They threw so many books into the Tigris River that the water ran black with ink. The Caliph was rolled up in a carpet and trampled to death by horses. Baghdad never recovered. The Mongol commander was named Hulagu Khan, brother of the great Khan himself. After Baghdad, Hulagu turned west. His army swept through Syria. Aleppo fell. Damascus fell. Ancient cities that had stood for thousands of years crumbled in weeks. Refugees flooded into Egypt, bringing stories of the Mongol terror. Entire populations enslaved. Cities burned to the ground. No mercy, no quarter. The Islamic world was in shock. Who could stop them? Only one major Islamic power remained: Egypt, ruled by the Mamluks. And the Mongols were coming for them next. In 1260, Hulagu sent messengers to Cairo. They carried a letter for the Mamluk Sultan. The message was simple: surrender now, or be destroyed like everyone else. The letter was arrogant, threatening. It basically said, "You've seen what we did to Baghdad. You're next." The messengers arrived in Cairo expecting the Sultan to surrender immediately. After all, everyone else had. They were wrong. The Mamluk Sultan was named Qutuz, and he had a decision to make. Now, here's something you need to understand about the Mamluks. The word Mamluk literally means owned. These were slave soldiers. Most of them had been captured as boys from Turkish and Caucasian regions. They were brought to Egypt, converted to Islam, and trained as elite warriors. But the Mamluks weren't ordinary slaves. They were educated, trained in warfare from childhood. They could read and write. They studied tactics and strategy. And most importantly, once their training was complete, many were freed and became the ruling military class of Egypt. In fact, just 7 years earlier in 1253, the Mamluks had overthrown Egypt's ruling dynasty and taken power themselves. They were warriors who'd seized an empire. So when Hulagu's messengers arrived demanding surrender, Qutuz gathered his council. Some advisors wanted to negotiate. Some wanted to buy time. Some wanted to surrender and hope for mercy. Qutuz refused. He had the Mongol messengers executed. Then he ordered their heads placed on stakes outside the gates of Cairo. But here's the problem. Qutuz knew his army was outnumbered. He knew the Mongols had never lost. So he needed an advantage. He needed something the Mongols wouldn't expect. And then luck intervened. News arrived from the east. The great Khan Monkey, ruler of the entire Mongol Empire, had died. Hulagu had to rush back to Mongolia for the succession crisis. He took most of his army with him, leaving only about 20,000 men in Syria under his general Kitbuka. Kitbuka was a veteran commander, a Christian Mongol from the Nestorian sect. He'd fought in dozens of campaigns. He was confident and aggressive, but now he was alone, far from reinforcements. Kutuz realized this was his chance. The Mongol army was divided. If he was going to fight, it had to be now. Kutuz assembled his generals. The most important was Baybars. Young, brilliant, and hungry for glory. Baybars had fled Syria when the Mongols invaded. Now he wanted revenge. Kutuz made Baybars commander of the vanguard. His job was to find the Mongols and lure them into battle. In July 1260, the Mamluk army marched out of Cairo. 20,000 cavalry, the best trained warriors in the Islamic world. They headed north through Palestine, looking for the Mongols. The question was, would Kitbuka take the bait? The two armies met near a place called Ain Jalut. The name means Spring of Goliath. It's in the Jezreel Valley, in northern Palestine, near where the ancient Battle of Megiddo was fought thousands of years earlier. The terrain was perfect for cavalry. Open ground, rolling hills, good visibility. Baybars and his advance guard spotted the Mongol army first. 50,000 horsemen, including allied troops. The Mongols saw them too. Kitbuka immediately ordered his army to prepare for battle. This was typical Mongol strategy. Hit the enemy fast. Hit them hard. Don't give them time to think. The Mongols charged. Thousands of horsemen thundering across the valley. Their composite bows singing. Arrows darkening the sky. Baybars had orders from Kutuz. Hold your ground as long as possible. Make them commit everything. Then retreat. Baybars fought back. The two cavalry forces clashed in a storm of arrows, swords, and dust. Mamluks fell. Mongols fell. The battle raged for hours under the September sun. And then, exactly as planned, Baybars broke. His cavalry turned and fled. The Mongols saw their enemy running and did exactly what they always did. They pursued. Victory seemed certain. It always had been before. The Mongols chased the fleeing Mamluks deeper into the valley. Their formation stretched out. They were focused on the kill, on finishing the enemy. They didn't realize it was a trap. Kutuz had hidden the main Mamluk army in the hills surrounding Ain Jalut. As the Mongols pursued Baybars into the valley, they rode right into the center of a horseshoe formation. Kutuz raised his hand. Then he threw off his helmet so his men could see him. He shouted Islam and charged. Suddenly, Mamluks poured out of the hills from three sides. Fresh troops, perfectly positioned. The Mongols found themselves surrounded in the valley they'd ridden into so confidently. The Mamluks knew this was their last stand. If they lost here, Egypt would fall. Islam might be wiped out of the Middle East. Their families, their faith, everything they knew would be destroyed. So they fought like men with no tomorrow. The battle raged all day. The Mongols tried to break out. They tried to reform their lines. But everywhere they turned, Mamluks were waiting. The valley became a killing ground. Kitbuka fought bravely. He tried to rally his men. He tried to turn the tide. But the trap was too perfect. The Mamluks were too determined. Finally, Kitbuka was surrounded and killed. With their commander dead, the Mongol army broke. They fled in every direction. The Mamluks pursued them for miles, cutting them down as they ran. By sunset, the battle was over. The Mongols had lost. When the sun set on Ain Jalut, thousands of Mongol warriors lay dead in the valley. The survivors scattered, fleeing back towards Syria and Iraq. The Mamluk army stood exhausted, blooded, but victorious. They'd done the impossible. They'd defeated the Mongols in open battle. Kutuz walked across the battlefield that evening. All around him lay proof of what they'd accomplished. The unstoppable Mongol army had been stopped. The empire that conquered everything had finally met defeat. But Kutuz knew this was just the beginning. The Mamluks didn't stop. They immediately pushed north into Syria. They retook Damascus. They retook Aleppo. Everywhere the Mongols had conquered, the Mamluks drove them back. Hulagu, back in Persia, heard about the defeat at Ain Jalut and was furious. He tried to send reinforcements. He tried to organize a counterattack, but his army was exhausted. His supply lines were overstretched. And now, the Mongols faced an enemy they couldn't intimidate. The myth of Mongol invincibility was broken. Over the next few years, there were more battles. The Mongols tried again and again to invade Syria and Egypt. Every time, the Mamluks stopped them. The border stabilized at the Euphrates River. The Mongol Empire's westward expansion was over. Egypt became the heart of the Islamic world. Cairo replaced Baghdad as the center of learning, trade, and power. The Mamluk Sultanate would rule Egypt and Syria for the next 250 years. And here's something to think about. If the Mamluks had lost at Ain Jalut, the Mongols would have conquered Egypt. They would have controlled North Africa. They could have crossed into Europe through Spain or Sicily. The Renaissance might never have happened. European history could have been completely different. The entire world could have changed. All because of one battle in a valley in Palestine. But there's one more twist to this story. Remember Baybars, the general who led the feigned retreat that won the battle? He wanted to be sultan. 2 months after Ain Jalut, while returning to Cairo, Baybars and some other generals assassinated Kutus during a hunting trip. Baybars seized the throne. He ruled Egypt for 17 years. He became one of the greatest Mamluk sultans in history, winning battle after battle against both Mongols and Crusaders. But he never could have done any of it without Kutu's victory at Ain Jalut. Today, Ain Jalut is a quiet valley in Palestine. There's not much there. A few farms, some fields, and most people drive past without knowing what happened there over 750 years ago. But what happened in that valley changed world history. Before Ain Jalut, the Mongol Empire seemed unstoppable. After Ain Jalut, they had limits. They couldn't conquer everything. They couldn't terrify everyone into surrender. The Mamluks proved that the Mongols could be beaten. And once that myth was broken, other enemies became bolder. The Mongols never regained that aura of invincibility. For the Islamic world, Ain Jalut was salvation. If the Mamluks had lost, Islam might have been reduced to scattered communities in North Africa and Spain. Instead, it survived and flourished. Cairo, Damascus, Jerusalem remained Islamic cities. The learning and culture that had been destroyed in Baghdad was preserved in Cairo. Islamic science, mathematics, medicine, and philosophy continued. That knowledge eventually flowed into Europe and helped spark the Renaissance. From a military perspective, Ain Jalut showed that superior tactics and determination could overcome numerical superiority. The Mamluks studied their enemy. They used the terrain. They set a trap. They refused to be intimidated. And they won. So what's the real lesson of Ain Jalut? Feist. No army is truly unstoppable. The Mongols looked invincible because no one had figured out how to fight them. The Mamluks studied their tactics, found their weaknesses, and exploited them. Second, courage matters. The Mamluks could have surrendered. Most people would have. But Kutus executed the Mongol messengers and chose to fight. That decision saved an entire civilization. Third, one battle can change everything. If the Mongols had won at Ain Jalut, the modern world would be unrecognizable. One day in September 1260 determined the fate of continents. Kutus didn't live long enough to enjoy his victory. He was murdered just 2 months later. But what he accomplished in that valley lasted for centuries. The next time someone tells you a situation is hopeless, remember Ain Jalut. Remember 20,000 warriors who faced an empire that had never lost. Remember the spring of Goliath, where the unstoppable army finally stopped. Because sometimes, against all odds, the underdog wins. Thank you for watching Historic War Lens. If you enjoyed learning about the battle that stopped the Mongol Empire, hit that like button and subscribe for more forgotten chapters of military history. Next time, we'll explore another war you've probably never heard of. Drop a comment and tell me which conflict I should cover next. Until then, keep looking through the lens of history. And remember, no empire lasts forever.